What's up, IG? So, I used to enjoy Red Lobster quite a bit. I was in middle school and I just decided one day that I wanted to be vegetarian. And so I went like, I don't know, maybe 8 months, max 6 months, being vegetarian, I think in like sixth or seventh grade. And because my mom cooked meat, it didn't really work. Eventually I switched over to being a meat eater and then decided somewhere in like, I don't know, like early 20s that I wanted to go back to being vegetarian. So I've kind of like been off and on with different, dietary restrictions or lifestyles, you could say. But there was a time where I was pescatarian, and I more so understood the pescatarian lifestyle because I had an ex who was, kind of more like pescatarian, like ate, didn't eat red meat, but ate chicken from time to time. But he was like, I could understand, the pescatarian lifestyle because the sea life, they're swimming around and they're having fun in the ocean, and it seems like they're free and like they're not like harboring all of these emotions that other animals are harboring. So they're probably okay to eat. And I used to really like salmon. Like salmon was like my go-to. Like I would do like some grilled salmon, some rice pilaf, and some veggies. That was kind of my diet for a minute. Just like shrimp or salmon or some sort of kind of like seafood something and veggies and like a rice or whatever. But then when you start studying, kind of like knowing more about what's going on with the ocean life and the pollution and the mercury, you start realizing that seafood isn't what it used to be. And you are like ingesting a lot of that stuff, all the stuff that's going into the ocean. And then there's different categories, like, so people who are in the Jewish community, at least faithful, like as far as the ones that follow Judaism, as the Torah dictates, they don't eat pork either, like Muslims, and don't eat shellfish. And my cousin was engaged to a Jewish guy, and I had a conversation with him about why they don't eat shellfish. And other Jewish friends I've had conversations with about this, and I was told that the reason why they don't eat shellfish is because shellfish are considered scavengers. Like a vegan friend of mine referred to shrimp as the cockroaches of the sea. So they say, like, even if you throw a dead body into the ocean, the scavengers will eat away at that dead body. They'll pick at it. And so they consider scavengers like filthy animals, like similar to how we consider pigs on the earth, because pigs eat like the remnants of whatever. And so you're essentially ingesting what they're ingesting. That's how they feel also about sea life. Like and oysters used to be my favorite, but oysters are scavengers, shrimp are scavengers. I want to say clams are scavengers. Like everything that is like mussels, everything that's responsible for the purification of the ocean, they're eating all that stuff. Lobster is a big scavenger. And I used to like lobster meat. It kind of has like a little sweetness to it. So when I went to Red Lobster, sometimes I would go on my lunch break to Red Lobster, and I would just get a cup of the lobster bisque, usually a whole bowl of the lobster bisque. And it was delightful with those cheddar biscuits. And I would do a Caesar salad and maybe a lemonade with it. And I would take those cheddar biscuits and ever so gently I would just dunk it into my lobster bisque, so it could just, those biscuits could just absorb the delectableness of that bisque. Hey, honey. And then sometimes I would take the biscuits and I would crumble it inside of the bisque and add a little bit of the black pepper on top. And so it would be like almost like croutons, but the cheddar biscuits instead of croutons in the bisque. And I'd always ask for the big spoon because you're not going to do much with the teaspoon. And I would just get in it. Just go to town. But then I stop. So right now what I'm having is cauliflower bisque. And the base, instead of a heavy cream, is oat milk. And it is delicious. It tastes just like Red Lobster bisque. I'm not lying to you. But instead of lobster, cauliflower. And one thing I will say is I posted some pictures just now. You know, I got this Ethiopian blowout going on. No perm. Guys, I haven't permed my hair in years. I like the protective styles, so I like braids because they kind of help grow your hair. But my hair should be much longer, but if it was not for the perms, my hair would be probably at least like hair, you know? So a little trim is good, you know? Protein treatments are good. Good conditioners and shampoos are really good. But, you know, I don't have a perm and I'm not planning on perming my hair. This is just a blowout. And I posted earlier about, you know, I've never had any fillers. I've never had any cosmetic surgery. I've never had, you know, Botox, lip injections. I have no makeup on right now. You know, I don't own foundation. I own concealer. I think I've worn concealer like 3 times this entire year. No fake lashes, nothing fake on me. I've never had any enhancements, cosmetic surgery, no fillers, no Botox, none of that. And frankly, I would look younger than I do right now if I'd always been taking care of myself the way that I do right now. And this is the reason why I'm talking about this right now. It's not just for me to just be on social media bragging about how I love myself in my organic state, which I do. But when people are wondering why, you know, the incentive, because it may not seem immediately appealing to you if you're a late teen or early 20-something and everybody's drinking and everybody's hitting up Jack in the Box, Shake Shack and whatnot, and that's just part of the lifestyle. And everybody's smoking weed and everybody's, you know, heading to Red Lobster and Applebee's for happy hour like everybody does, you know. Like, I'm not coming from some high horse here. Like, no, I've always only been plant-based and only been, you know, on a part of this lifestyle. Like, I used to love a cheeseburger just like the rest of them. But what I will say is I feel more energized than I've ever felt in my life. So that's number one. I feel more clear-headed. I feel more capable to step up to my purpose. Like, I feel like I could run a company right now. I feel like my mind is that sharp. You know, like, the stuff that comes out in my mind, the ideas and all these things that come in my mind are pretty profound. You know, I read and I absorb and I know things, and I have still a ton to learn. I'm a student of life, but I feel smarter currently than I've ever felt in my life, ever. I feel right now better. I feel like I'm at my best right now. I feel like I am better than I was 10 years ago. And I know, like, in America, there's like this whole, you know, fear of aging and whatnot, but I look better than I did 10 years ago currently. And I'm better in every way than I was 10 years ago. So why, I say why? I would look younger had I never had a glass of wine, had I never played beer pong in college with my friends, had I never, smoked or whatever, hit the blunt, had I always been eating this way and taking care of myself, I'd be looking younger. And I'm aging backwards, but I recognize that lifestyle wears and tears on your skin. It wears and tears on your body entirely. I mean, vegans, or let's just say non-drinkers, non-smokers, who, may be pescatarian or, may even eat meat, but in moderation, but don't drink, don't smoke, don't do anything. I meet people who are like 70 years old. Like my auntie Boobie is like 70 at this point. She might be a little bit older than 70. My auntie Boobie looks so good. And she took like really good care of her. She has her wine from time to time, but she took really good care of herself. My mom, like these women look so good in their 70s. My mom's pushing 70. They look so good. And their skin is like glowing, Because these women take really good care of themselves. And so, there's many reasons to be a part of the health and wellness journey or to start your journey in health and wellness. There's many reasons to take good care of yourself. But I will say, if you are drinking, using prescription drugs, all that stuff, it may be fun for now, but it will catch up to you eventually. And if I knew then what I know now, I would have never, ever had a filet of fish at McDonald's. In high school, that was my thing, filet of fish. Filet of fish with the Dr. Pepper and the fries. Filet of fish. Filet of fish. I used to specifically say I needed that filet of fish to be fresh out the oil, piping hot. With the tartar sauce. And the bun better be nice and soft. I do not want a day-old bun. That stuff is crap though, guys. It really is crap. It's crap for your soul and it's crap for your system. And you think that just eating it, because everybody else is, it's going to be okay. But in the long term, it's not. So I will continue to post recipes. I'm not taking shots at anybody who's had work done because I'm not opposed to it. I think that if you are doing things to make yourself look better and you feel better in turn, you feeling better is going to make you treat people better. It's going to make you be happier and all that stuff. Who am I to judge? But I will say that a lot of times people will spend a ton of money on their appearance, which, everybody says it and everybody knows that it's not as significant as your character, as your heart, as, your integrity, as your core values, your appearance is just a shell. Aging is inevitable. We're all gonna get older. Like, we can't do anything about that. But people do place a lot of emphasis on how they look. And I'm not opposed to one day getting a mommy makeover. I have a couple body things that I would like to, stretch marks, and my breasts aren't the same that they used to be prior to me having a child or losing some weight. Things like that, I smile, I see smile lines and stuff like that. I mean, if it's something that's not invasive, if it's something that is not putting toxins in your body, because I can't promote a health and wellness brand with integrity and still, put like poisonous stuff inside of me. But I say, why not? So I'm not here to throw shade at anybody who does that, but what I'm saying is, there are people who spend a ton of money getting all these things, all these procedures done, and then they still don't feel beautiful. They still don't feel good on the inside. And there's a reason for that. Typically, you feel good when you do good. Typically, you feel better when you do better. When you're good to people and you spread love and light to the world. Thank you, love. So, Tahuti Ma'atara, who keeps it very real, which is what I love about him, he had this one video. He said, if you got it, flaunt it. He didn't see a problem with it, with women who are well built, who pose for magazines. He said, this is the matrix. If you got it, flaunt it. Make a couple dollars off of it. Why not? We're in the matrix. We know that sex sells or whatever. A lot of times people do it based off of necessity, not off of, it's not like a lot of these women who are posing for King magazine and Double XL come from silver spoon backgrounds. A lot of them are based off and doing it off of necessity. So I'm realistic in that sense, But his major point was the fact that he really didn't have much of an issue with certain things as long as people were developed internally. So you weren't looking for confidence in that surgery. You weren't looking for confidence in the breast augmentation. You were together before you had it. You had confidence before you got that breast augmentation. You had confidence before you got your butt done. You had confidence before you did all those things. And that stuff just enhances you. You already knew who you were prior to it. It wasn't like you were looking for yourself and hoping to find yourself in those types of things. I mean, I try my best to be balanced about the matrix and about the actualities. I know that there's people within the conscious community that are totally against everything unorganic. I get that, but we're not being realistic here and taking into consideration the environment that we live in. But one last point, when we're talking about, beauty and looks and, sexuality and all those things, I think it's fine. I think we are sexual beings, like, to deny that is to deny life. As much as your parents may say abstain and all those things, like, you could very well look at them and be like, well, how did I get here? Was it fun making me? Or did you just do the sex act just to procreate? You didn't have any pleasure making me, Mom? You didn't have any pleasure making me, Dad? And so, of course, people are going to teach you the right way, but, we are sexual beings, and sex is amazing. Sex is fun. Sex is enjoyable. Sex is pleasurable. Sex is one of the greatest experiences that you can have on this earth. It's great to be sexy. It's great to be sexually attracted to your mate. It's great to see your mate and want to have sex with them. It's great that the person that you're with, your spouse, your partner, sees you and they get sexually aroused. That's great. Like I wouldn't want to be with a partner who doesn't see me and get sexually stimulated and think about having sex with me. That's important to me. But we have to put everything in its proper place. And so when I talk about music and I talk about the music industry and I see this hypersexualization, over-sexualization, I think that, yes, I have a sexy side. I don't mind making music about sex, there's really nothing wrong with it. It's very natural. But it becomes tainted and tarnished with the exploitation of individuals. And we have to take into consideration that certain populations are at a fiscal disadvantage. So certain populations are more prone to getting objectified, are more prone to having to leverage their sexuality for financial advancement, and this is not because they just are freaks, like they just gotta have it. This is for social mobility. This is for upward mobility. If we're gonna talk, right? If we're gonna have honesty in these conversations, like, let's be very clear. A lot of times these girls come to the labels and they might, be cute. I've experienced it, when I was in Cali, you look a certain way or whatever. They know that sex sells. Sex has always sold. Sex will always sell. So they're always going to try to market you to be sexy. So it's not like when you see, these girls at the VMAs or whatever, and they're doing all types of wild stuff, right? Because 4 years ago, they said, we could just wear a cute little skirt and we could just keep it cute and sexy and we can write songs that are kind of alluding to sex a little bit. And it was cute, for a minute. But then the next year they looked at the record sales and they're like, I'm sorry, just people aren't really, really buying, Maybe you need to just show more skin. Like, you don't want to be somebody who has all this talent and you're a no-name. Maybe you just need to show more skin. So they decide to show a little bit more skin the next year, and their record sales still aren't up. People still aren't feeling their music. And so the next year, they're like, maybe you should, I don't know, do something that's going to be, that people are going to talk about, get on stage and kiss another girl or kiss another guy or, give another girl a lap dance or something like that. And these people are young and they're easily influenced. You think that will do? You think that will get me the attention? You think that will get eyeballs on me, which will transform into wealth, which will transform? Sure, yeah. That'll do it. They'll all be talking about you. And so they do it. They do it. They do it out of desperation. They do it because they want to sell. I mean, we're over here trying to nail them to the cross. But, you got to take into consideration their perspective. And then they say, well, nobody told you to, make your kids, for us to influence your kids, even though we know that that's what, who we need for to be watching us. But that's not our role. We're not responsible for that. I see it both ways. To be completely candid, I'm not going to say I don't see it both ways. I think it's unfortunate that this is what our society has come down to. I think it's more of a problem systemically than it is pointing your finger at a specific individual. Why is this atmosphere calling for this? You know what I'm saying? Why is it calling for this? But to go back to my original point, I know that there have been people going through my stuff and been like, time out. This girl singing a gospel song one day talking about she wants a clean heart and to lose the double mind. And the next day she's in a mini skirt, shaking her ass. That's a little hypocritical. Who are you? One day you're talking about God music. Next day you're doing rock and roll. Next day you're talking about sex. Who are you? That sounds a little double-minded. Talking about God all the time. Why you on Instagram twerking sometimes? I don't really twerk, but either way, I don't owe none of you an explanation because not one of you paid my bills. But what I will say is, if you're one way, you're boring. If you are one way all the time, you are boring and don't even bother trying to get to know me. Because we are multifaceted human beings. We have times where we get pissed off and we cuss somebody out. Or, you may have emotional control, so maybe you can cuss somebody out without using any profanity or whatever. So there's that side of us. We got times where it's time to teach and people need to learn, and we got that side of us. Then we got our sexy side and our playful side and our fun side. A lot of different sides. I hope that you're not one way all the time. I hope that you don't talk to your wife and your mother the same exact way. God forbid. I hope you're not talking to your pastor the same way that you talk to your lover, the same way that you talk to your professor. I hope not. So, allow people to be people. Allow people to be people in an all-encompassing way. Allow people to express themselves in their entirety. And don't be somebody who's confirmation bias is looking, oh, all women are hoes, so let's go through all of their music and only find the sexy stuff. That's not fair to that person, but people are going to do what they're going to do anyways. Until next time, y'all, I got to get to a couple things that I'm a little bit behind in. My cauliflower bisque is fantastic. It's fantastic. And we'll chat it up at a later time. Peace.